It's been 4 months. Um, Gosh, I honestly don't have an excuse. I mean, I guess if I had to say something, it would be that I've just been absorbed in this book and taking notes on everything and digging through the rest of the shit that was left for me. I got to the bottom of the box like halfway through September. Um, but honestly, I can't really say much, so I'm just gonna go straight into what this video is about. I know that last time I said that I was gonna go into kind of how to perform a sequence, or at least I think I said it. I'll link back to it somewhere in this video. But I just want to kind of take a little bit of time to go over the different steps. Honestly, that's really all I can go over in this video, because the rest of it would take way too long to get through. So, I guess let's just get started. Now, last time I went over the base 7 metals, wow, involved in alchemy, or at least the main 7 that my grandfather talked about. But today I want to go over how to take those metals and input them into whatever kind of sequence you're trying to accomplish. So, first step is calcination. All that is breaking down the substance using what's called a crucible, but you can call it any kind of Bunsen burner or whatever. Essentially, you heat it in something until it breaks down into a form that you can actually work with for the rest of the sequence. Step 2 is dissolution. It involves turning a calcinated solid, which is what step 1 was. You calcinate it. You turn that into a liquid, typically by dissolving it in water. So that it kind of mixes with the water, etc. Step 3 is separation. Separation is, as it sounds, the process of filtering the results of dissolution to isolate the individual components. So, kind of like how you like strain noodles or something of that nature. You strain stuff to or panning for gold, where you're sifting the dirt out to get to the gold. Kind of similar to that. You isolate the individual components of the previous substance that you've dissolved, and then you discard the undesirable materials. Step 4 is conjunction, which involves assembling the saved elements into something new. This is where the alchemy really comes in. It kind of ties in with step 5, so I'm just going to go ahead and move on to that one, is fermentation, which is using microorganisms such as bacteria, that kind of thing, fungi, to chemically alter a substance. So you take bacteria or yeast and you introduce it to the substance, and through that fermentation it will begin changing it into a new substance. Step 6 is distillation, which is the process of heating a substance again until it turns to vapor, and then collecting the condensed vapor as it turns back into liquid. So it's kind of this big circle, from heating it to dissolving it to separating it to using conjunction and fermentation, and finally heating it again, capturing the vapor. And then step 7 is coagulation, which occurs when a liquid or gas has returned back to a solid state. So it really does kind of go in a circle. I suppose that you say, I mean, the whole lead into gold thing really is more of a fiction than anything else, but it's definitely been attempted. And I've heard stories of alchemists generations back in my family that have successfully turned lead into gold, but I've really only heard of that by word of mouth. I've never really seen any articles or anything like that written. And this is as recent as the 40s or 50s, so either it was done completely in secret or it was, the articles were squelched out somehow by maybe my family. I mean, the whole thing of, oh, this person turned lead into gold somehow, money, it would be, I imagine somehow they would consider it illegal and they would have been arrested, but I'm rambling off on a tangent. So those are pretty much the 7 main steps. Calcination, which is breaking the initial substance down by heating it. Dissolution, which is dissolving that broken down solid into liquid. Separation, which is filtering the dissolved substance away from the unused materials or unwanted materials. Conjunction and fermentation, which is assembling the saved substance into something new and then using microorganisms to alter it. Distillation, which is heating it again as this liquid. I say egg is a semi-liquid because it's kind of liquid, it's kind of solid, it's kind of gaseous. In this state, once you get to fermentation, it's kind of between the three. It's not necessarily plasma. It's not really plasma, but it's kind of in this limbo state where it doesn't shift between the three, but it's sort of an amalgamation of the three. I know that sounds kind of weird and might not make sense, but that's kind of where it is. That's the best I can do to describe it. So, conjunction, fermentation, chemically altering the substance using a living bacteria or a yeast of some kind. Distillation, heating it till it turns to vapor, capturing the condensed vapor back into a liquid. And then finally coagulation, which is letting the liquid kind of assemble and coagulate into a solid state. And then if you've gone through all of that successfully, then you'll have a completely different substance from what you started with. Generally, it's easier if you start with like materials, like alkaline metals on the periodic table, turning one into the other. It's usually easier to do that than, say, turning a alkaline metal into a rare earth metal, like turning turning silver into neodymium. Those are in 2 completely different groups on the periodic table, so it would be more difficult to do something like that than, say, turning silver into, boron, even, something of that nature. That's pretty much what I had to talk about today. Might not be as interesting as you thought, but it's what I had planned originally before I went on this 4-month hiatus for no particular reason at all. So I'm going to continue to go through this book, and I've been reading up on a particularly interesting sequence that I may try and film for you guys. I say I may try because this is one of the most complicated sequences I've ever read. And to be honest, I'm not entirely sure that my grandfather ever successfully finished it. I mean, it has a beginning and an end, but from the way it's written, there's no balancing coefficients. It's all one-sided. So I'm